Everyone knows that my fellow mutants were scattered across time and space by that nasty time string entanglement. At first, it seemed like finding them and bringing them back home to Krakoa would be nearly impossible, but that's when the Scarlet Witch showed up and made our lives a tiny bit easier. For once, she used her reality-bending abilities to forge a new Cerebro helmet, the classic model designed to locate mutant biosignatures, and added some mystical upgrades so we could search for our people across multiple dimensions. Initially, she handed it to her dear old dad, Magneto, but after his first overly dramatic call to mutant kind, he realized that such a delicate piece of machinery would be far more useful in the hands of a skilled telepath. Enter yours truly. What Wanda didn't know is that we already had this Cerebro unit on Krakoa, one devoted to cataloging genetic profiles and memory data so that fallen mutants could be resurrected. While mutants from every reality are welcome on Krakoa, this did create an interesting problem. Previously, each mutant from our universe had their personal data stored on our main Cerebro unit. But what happens when a Psylocke from a different timeline shows up in our own? We couldn't risk critical information being overwritten, so I had Forge create partitions in Cerebro's drives to account for alternate versions of each of us. That way, our Logan doesn't accidentally get resurrected with the mind of a wolf that happens to share his name and some of his DNA. As humorous as that would be, I ain't usually one to share my memories, but I suppose this is just part of being a mutant now, so here we go. I've been off Krakoa for a bit, dealing with some serious business. This megacorp called Alchemax had been keeping Captain America on ice for decades, and the Black Widow finally thawed him out. Problem was, Alchemax wanted Steve back, bad, so I had to smuggle Cap to the other side of the galaxy. Wasn't easy, but it was the right thing to do. After that, I had something personal to finish. I'd been holding on to the Muramasa blade, a cursed sword capable of cutting through just about anything, for too long. I had to deliver it to a sacred place where no one else would get their filthy hands on it, so I headed back to Tokyo to leave it at Budokan. Too bad I was being watched the whole blasted time. A bunch of ninjas jumped me after I stashed the sword. In my downtime, I'd been searching for clues about what happened to my ex, Mariko. Apparently someone wasn't too happy about that fact. The claws came out, and let's just say, it was a good thing those losers were wearing red. Once the rage cleared, I realized I hadn't won the fight alone. The Black Widow was on the scene, and I couldn't have been happier to see she survived that mess back at Alchemax. If you live as long as I do, watching countless friends and loved ones disappear into the night, you hold on to the folks you still got, no matter where or when they come from. Soon after the mutants settled on Krakoa, the Quiet Council was formed. 12 of the most influential members of the species, divided into 4 houses of thought. The seats of Autumn were occupied by the greatest leaders mutantkind had ever known. Winter belonged to members of the council with more radical ideologies. The seats of Spring were filled by compassionate and kind mutants, dedicated to the prosperity of the species, and Summer comprised those mutants deemed to be fair and just. Now, with Krakoa's mutants scattered across the time stream, only 3 Quiet Council members remain: Magneto, Storm, and Emma Frost. To the world at large, the island of Krakoa is known as the homeland of mutant kind, but most outsiders do not realize that Krakoa is actually a mutant itself, a living landmass that is constantly changing and evolving, just like the species of people that dwell on its surface. The unique vegetation native to Krakoa has proven to have profound pharmaceutical effects, capable of curing life-threatening diseases and extending lifespans in both humans and mutants. These flowers have become highly coveted by those beyond the island's shores, making them the perfect bargaining chip between Krakoa and the outside world. The Hellfire Club began its existence as an exclusive group of influential mutants who held elaborate anniversary parties designed to showcase their wealth, status, and power. When mutant kind chose to make the living island of Krakoa their sovereign nation, the Hellfire Club was born anew as the Hellfire Trading Company, an operation dedicated to sharing the blessings of Krakoa with a world that hated and feared mutants. Though their mission had changed, the group's annual Hellfire Gala continued on, drawing inspiration from the lavish events of days gone by, but now opening its doors to a more global guest list. Since Krakoa's arrival in the year 2099. Wolverine has found himself fighting on multiple fronts. Not only is he actively defending Krakoa as the head of its security team, X-Force, he is also busy searching for fellow mutants strewn across time and space by the time string entanglement. But his efforts stretch far beyond mutant kind. Logan has joined other freedom fighters in their efforts to keep Dr. Doom from crushing this future in his iron-gloved hands. If he's not on Krakoa, Wolverine is likely battling alongside Black Widow and the Punisher as part of a growing resistance, much to Magneto's dismay. Although Wolverine's efforts as part of the resistance forces seem altruistic on the surface, he had a secret reason for wanting to explore the world beyond Krakoa. After being ripped through time and space, he not only lost countless friends, but also his most beloved companion, Mariko Yashida. By joining the resistance in Tokyo, Wolverine hoped to use their intel network to track down clues about what had happened to his long-lost love. If it meant he'd have to slash his way through countless mega corporations and even do himself in the process, he had no problem with that notion. Due to its highly coveted natural resources, the island of Krakoa is constantly under threat of invasion from the outside world. Even though it is populated by some of the most powerful beings on the planet, it was determined that a dedicated strike force was necessary to protect Krakoan interests from those who might attempt to violently seize them. Membership of this group, known as X-Force, has been in flux since the time string entanglement displaced many of Krakoa's citizens. But the island's head of security, Wolverine, continues to lead his fellow mutants in an effort to protect Krakoa at any cost.